The rain had thinned to a fine mist when she stopped the car. The tires crunched on gravel, far from the city, far from anyone who would hear me scream, if I screamed. She didn't look at me, just flicked her eyes at the empty road ahead, lips curling. "This is where you get off." Her voice was flat, efficient, like she was tossing out trash. I stepped out. My black dress clung to me, heavy from the cemetery rain. She leaned over the passenger seat, close enough for me to smell her perfume. My perfume. The house, the business, they're mine now. Then she spat, right at my feet. The car door slammed. Gravel sprayed my legs as she sped off. The mist swallowed her taillights until there was nothing. Just silence. I clutched my bag, the only thing I'd taken from the house before the funeral. The bag that made me smile, because she had no idea what was inside. When I first met her, she was all teeth and charm. "Family is everything," she told me at our engagement dinner, sliding a glass of wine into my hand. She called me sister before the papers were even signed. Back then, my husband adored me. We built the cafe together. We worked side by side until our hands ached, until the smell of roasted beans clung to our hair. It was ours, built from nothing but sweat, laughter, and trust. And she was always there, helping, smiling, offering advice. I mistook her closeness for care. It started with numbers, tiny, crooked numbers in the accounts. A supplier I didn't recognize, a payment I didn't approve. Then came the late nights my husband spent at the cafe. Except when I passed by, the lights were off. One night I followed him. I watched from the shadows as he unlocked the back door, not to the cafe, but to her apartment. The curtains didn't close. They didn't need to. I didn't cry. Not that night, not any night after. I just learned to be very, very quiet. The mistake people make is thinking betrayal breaks you. It doesn't. It sharpens you. I stopped asking questions. I stopped looking hurt. I started listening. I learned that the business wasn't just our livelihood, it was the only asset he truly owned, and it was about to be transferred into her name for tax purposes. His health was failing, and the will, drafted in her lawyer's office, would leave me nothing. So I planned. First, I went to the bank, quietly. I transferred just enough from the business account to a personal account in my name. Money small enough to go unnoticed, but enough to start over. Next, I gathered evidence. Screenshots of texts, copies of emails, photographs of the two of them together, all time-stamped, all legal. Then I found the one thing neither of them thought I'd touch: the lease. The cafe property wasn't owned. It was rented. My name was on the lease as co-signer. One call to the landlord, and the lease was terminated on mutual agreement. The penalty fee? Paid with the money I'd already moved. The day before he died, I also visited the supplier whose name I'd seen on those suspicious invoices. I bought the business name, legally registered it under mine, for a fraction of its worth. Which meant, when my husband passed, the business she thought she owned was just an empty building with a locked door and no right to use the name. The day of the funeral, she was buzzing with false grief and real greed. She thought she'd swept the board clean. Driving me down that road, she didn't even ask where I'd go. She thought I'd vanish quietly. But when she sped off, she also sped away from the truth. 2 days later, the locks on the cafe changed. The sign came down. The website redirected to a new location, my location, miles away, already stocked and open for business. The supplier she relied on now dealt only with me. The old customers followed the name, not the building. And her lawyer? He received a neatly packaged folder of evidence. Not for court, just enough to let her know I could if I wanted to. I didn't see her again until weeks later, standing outside the shuttered cafe, face pale, hands shaking. She spotted me across the street. I smiled. Just once. Enough for her to understand. Because she hadn't left me stranded that day, she just delivered me to the place where her power ended and mine began.